Today's session is House Hunters North Bay, and that brings together two key experts from residence and off-campus housing support to guide us through the exciting beginning of our journey. This session is specifically designed for students who will be attending the College Drive, Commerce Court, Aviation, or West Parry Sound campus. If you're part of Canadore at Stanford, don't worry, there will be another a different orientation for students attending those campuses. So let's dive into this enriching experience together and set the stage for an incredible time at Canadore College.
For today's session, our panel consists of Nicole Belmore, Residence Manager, and Topanga Lacombe, who's the off-campus housing support. We also have additional staff who are behind the scenes monitoring the Q&A and answering any questions submitted. Get ready for an exciting session all about finding housing in North Bay. If you've got questions about registering for classes, other departments or services, don't worry, we've got you covered. There will be other table talk sessions coming up to cover all of your questions, plus orientation videos that you can explore from the Canadore Orientation webpage, which will be shared with you in the chat. There's also going to be a pre-departure orientation session for international students on March 7th. We will provide some more details about this at the end of today's session, so stay tuned. We know we've got a bunch of eager attendees, so let's keep things organized. To do so, we'll be using the Q&A feature here on Zoom. So your questions will be answered and everyone can see them for added insight. If you want to be discreet, you can feel free to ask anonymously. Remember to please keep your questions and comments respectful and appropriate. The session is being recorded and a copy of the chat transcript will be made available. So let's dive in and make the most of this interactive experience.
All right, let's kick off this session by delving into some of the most frequently asked questions that international students have asked us about housing over the years, as well as answer some of the questions that some of you submitted when you registered for this session. We'll cover all the key topics you've been curious about. After all, after that, we'll turn our attention to the Q&A chat box and make sure to address any additional questions you may have. So get ready to have your questions answered and make the most of this engaging and interactive session.
So we'll start off with you, Nicole, for some questions about Canadore residents. So first up, are there spaces available for Spring Start students and when should they apply for residence?
Yes, so if you haven't already applied, applications are open on our website, which is canadoreresidence.ca. You'll click on international students and all the information for international students is on there. If you're a domestic student, there's a separate domestic page, and then you can apply for residence. We do have spaces remaining. A lot of students have been asking about early move-in, which I think we're going to touch on in a minute. But we do have spaces remaining for the semester that runs from May through August.
And yeah, you called it. So when is move-in day for residents? And so when is move-in day, I guess, and how long do students have to move in, and anything else you want to add around that topic, Nicole?
Yeah, so classes begin for the most part on April 29th. Your move-in day is the Sunday before classes begin, so it would be the 28th for the most part. If you're in a program where your classes begin in May, or your start date isn't the 29th, then that's on a case-by-case basis, but for the most part, classes are beginning on the 29th. We have had some students ask about early move-in. Because the academic year semester ends the week prior, we do have very, very limited spaces for early move-in. So consider that when booking your flights into Canada, if you have somewhere to stay in the interim or you need temporary accommodations elsewhere, because there isn't really a lot of opportunity for early move-in just based on the previous semester ending and the next semester beginning. We need time to ask the other students to leave to make way for the new students, okay? So just make sure that if you are arriving to Canada much in advance of your start date, to find accommodations potentially elsewhere. Speak with the residence team once you are accepted to confirm your move-in date if you need something outside of our typical date.
Perfect. Now, what do students need to bring to residence? Like, do they need furniture, or is there anything that's not permitted?
Yeah, so our residences are fully furnished, so you get a bed, desk, dresser, and chair for your desk. So you don't really need to worry about any furniture. You do need to bring things like bedding, your personal items, obviously clothing, things to help you study at school. Anything for your bathroom like towels, a shower curtain is often forgotten by students. Make sure to bring that, as we don't have, sliding doors. You do have to have a shower curtain. And then as far as items that aren't allowed, I do recommend that you check out our rules of residence, our residence community living standards. Everything that you aren't permitted to do or bring to residence is in there. But it includes anything like hot plates and fridges, because you get a full-size fridge to share with your roommates in your room, so we don't allow you to bring in extra appliances like that. But you can bring in things like a coffee maker or a rice cooker, for example. Those are all fine as long as it has that fire safety feature that most appliances sold in Canada have.
Awesome. If anyone has any questions about residence following the session or any time in between, who can they reach out to?
Yeah, so I'll put our email for residents in the chat. It's info@canadaresidents.ca. And that inbox is monitored 24/7. It's typically the fastest way that you can get a response from any member of our team is just by emailing that email address. You can also give us a call, and all of our contact information is available on our website. Just note that sometimes during these busy periods, our phone line is very busy, and email is typically the fastest way to make sure you get the most all-inclusive response. Also, I highly recommend that you check out our website. If you have any general questions that aren't person specific to you, our website does do a really great job of answering frequently asked questions as far as again, what is in your room, what isn't in your room, what does the room look like, what should I expect as far as internet and other things along with this session. It can help you to get your answer even faster than waiting on a response from us.
Awesome, great points. So students who have applied for residence, when can they expect to receive an email with move-in details?
Yep, so that will all come in your acceptance email. So to let you know that a space has been reserved for you, what day our typical move-in day is, what to expect, what to bring, things like that. And those are going out periodically, typically every other week. And that's increasing as the semester approaches. So just keep an eye out on your inbox.
Awesome. Parking passes. So if a student is coming with a vehicle, we know that they need a parking pass to park on campus. Do they need to buy a separate parking pass to park at residence as well?
So when you book your parking pass through security, because they sell the parking passes, not the residents, when you go online, you'll be able to select which pass that you want to buy. Make sure to buy the residence pass if you're going to live in residence. So if you're going to campus at the Hunter College Drive campus or the Commerce Corps campus, if you have the residence pass, it's valid for any of the other campuses as well as the residents. But if you buy the Commerce Corps pass, for example, it is not valid back here at residence. So make sure to buy that residence pass.
Awesome. Very important. Thank you. Let's see here. What about laundry? Is there laundry on site, and how much does it cost?
Yep, there's laundry in all of our buildings as well as the office at the townhouse complexes. Typically a wash and dry is about $1.50 to $2 a load. It just depends on if you're using hot water, cold water. But it is done by card, so you don't need to worry about having change. You can load your card up with your debit or cash, and then from there, tap it on the machines and you'll be able to do your laundry.
Awesome. Nice and easy. We've got a few more questions for you, Nicole, so bear with us. What about mail? Can students receive mail in residence?
Yeah, so depending on what site you're at, if you're at the townhouses or lower, there's a bit of a different mail process, but generally speaking, if you get letter mail, you have a mailbox for that. If you get larger packages that don't fit in your small mailbox, then what we do is we'll keep it for you at the desk or with the RA, and then there will be mail pickup times, and those will be advertised, or if you're in the main building, you can come to the front desk 24/7, and you'll be, again, get an email. It'll say that your package is here, and you can come and pick it up. We do have a bit of a situation with the mail where it does go to the college first. So if Canada Post, for example, says that your package was delivered, it sometimes takes an extra 24 hours to get it from the mailroom. So just wait for an email from us to let you know that your package has arrived, and then you can come and grab it.
Awesome. Sounds pretty straightforward. Can students stay in residence for one semester rather than the full year?
Yeah, so if you are only in school for the spring semester, or if in September you plan to live elsewhere, that's fine. The application for the spring term is completely separate from the academic year term. If you do need to stay for the September through December semester and not all the way through April, you'll just have to speak to a member of our team so that we can set you up with only staying for partial, because the academic year is from September to April is typically done as one term. But for those students that are ending their program in December, we adjust for that.
Awesome. We're about halfway done with you, Nicole. I'm going to pass it to Ziad to take over the last half. Thanks.
Thank you very much. All right, for the next few questions, Nicole, can I move into residence after my first semester?
Yeah, so if you're currently already a Canada student and this won't be your first semester, even if you're a second year student or third year student, doesn't matter when you start school, you can live in residence. And again, especially over the spring term, we have more spaces available. So anyone is welcome as long as you're a full-time Canada student.
All right. Can I cook food in residence?
Yes, so all of our suites have kitchens. So we have a full stove and range ovens, as well as a full size, not apartment size, but full size fridge. So there is a nice cooking space area for you to share with your roommates, and most students do choose to cook in residence.
And can we have pets in residence?
No, so pets aren't permitted in residence, and that rule and any other rule that you have questions about is found in the residence community living standards on our website.
All right. How about guests? Can we have guests at our residence?
Yeah, so we have rules for that as well. Also in that same document regarding guests. So you're allowed to have up to 2 guests with you at a time. If for any reason, say you have a big group project and there's 3 or 4 people that you need to sign in to work on this project, you can speak with our front desk team and they can make exceptions for that. But generally speaking, 2 guests at a time, 2 sleepover nights in a row, just to make sure that everyone is comfortable in the suite, and your roommates don't have to have multiple other people that don't full-time live there all the time in your room. But you are allowed to have guests. You just have to sign them in at the front desk so that we know who's in the building. In case of any emergencies, we know who to get out.
All right. Now, how do I get to the residence from Pearson Airport, which is in Toronto? And the second part is, how do I get to Canada residence from North Bay Airport?
Yeah, so if you are flying into North Bay's airport, it makes things a little bit easier. The airport's really only 5-10 minutes away from residence, so you can use any taxi service. The residence itself doesn't provide any shuttles from either airport, so keeping that in mind. But there are multiple cab services in North Bay, and a lot of that information for those taxis is available at the airport itself. So when you land, you'll be able to just call from there. And then as far as if you're flying into Pearson and not connecting back over to North Bay, there are some shuttle services offered by outside vendors that you can look. They're easy to find on Google. If you just Google Pearson to North shuttle services, that's what a lot of our students use. But again, we don't provide that service Canada or directly. That's a service you'd have to find for yourself.
All right. And are there fitness facilities at the residence?
Yep, every one of our buildings down at the lower residence has a cardio room, so elliptical, treadmill, things like that. No weights though. If you want to do a little bit more exercise, then I highly recommend our gym facilities on campus. Canada has done really nice upgrades to those in the past few years, and they are all encompassing as far as cardio, weights, all the exercising you could ever want.
All right, thank you. Now, internet and mobile coverage, what is it like at the residence?
Yep, there's no issues as far as mobile coverage for any Canadian mobile service provider, and then our internet is also included with your residence stay. There's no password. You just click on student residence and you're good to go. And it was recently upgraded in the past couple of years. So it's very fast, good to do Zoom calls home or, Zoom calls for classes, gaming, etc. It's all inclusive.
All right, next question. I've seen it in the Q&A being asked also. Do I need to have a roommate? What if we don't get along?
Yes, so all students have roommates. We have different suite types ranging from 2-bedroom to 4-bedroom to 6-bedroom townhouses. So you will get roommates. If you don't get along, then we have processes in place to help you, and that can be anywhere from helping you to have conversations with your roommate on one end to, if you really aren't able to work things out, to room relocation at the very end. But all students will have roommates. We don't have single suites.
All right. Final question for you, Nicole. Does Canadore College offer off-campus housing?
Yes, and Topanga will mention some off-campus options a little bit more. That's her area of expertise. We do have a residence building that is located downtown North Bay. It's technically off campus, but it is run as a residence building down there. And there are limited spaces available for that in the summer as well. Pricing for that is a little bit different than the typical pricing for international students in our on-campus residences, but it is an option. And then as far as living off campus entirely and not being associated with Canada, Topanga has options for that.
All right, thank you very much for answering my questions. Back to you, Jill.
All right, thanks a lot, Nicole. That was a lot of questions. You were awesome. Your answers were very clear, very easy to follow. Topanga, don't worry, we don't have quite as many questions for you, but we do have a good amount. So let's get started. Number one, so other than residents, what are the housing options for students off campus?
So we're encouraging students who are looking for off-campus housing to submit their application on the Canadore website for our home share program, which is where we match students and community members together for short-term rentals. We're also encouraging students to look at websites like Places for Students and Rent Seeker, both of which are updated continuously with new rental opportunities. And then, of course, Facebook Marketplace and Kijiji.
Excellent. Now this next question is a little bit of a tricky question to answer, but what is like a reasonable cost for housing in North Bay that students can expect? I know we hear a lot of numbers being thrown out there, but what is a reasonable expectation?
With the high demand for housing in North Bay right now, we're seeing an increased cost for housing starting around $650 per month and anywhere to around $2,000 per month. And that's only for a single room. That isn't to say that you won't find something cheaper, but the majority of available units are within that price range.
Definitely. Now what is transportation like in North Bay, and how might transportation affect a student's search for housing?
When you purchase your student card, you will have an unlimited bus pass for the school year, which will assist in transportation. However, any small communities immediately outside of North Bay do not have transit or bus access. So if you are without a vehicle, staying in the city would likely be your best option for housing.
Okay. And you mentioned the Canadore Home Share program. Can you get into that a little bit more? What is that program?
Sure. The Home Share program is a partnership with community members that are looking to rent a bedroom in their home to students. We then review student applications to the program and select who might be a good fit and provide their contact information to that community member. Essentially, we are the in-between connecting community members with extra space in their homes and students in need of a place to live.
Okay, great. Now, what if I'm a student, I'm having trouble finding a house. What should I do? Is there someone I can reach out to? What happens then?
I would recommend that you email the housing department at housing.support@canadorecollege.ca, and we will assist you in your housing search as much as we can and where we can.
Awesome. Just a couple more, Topanga. What are some tips for avoiding rental scams?
We have some tips to avoid rental scams outlined under the housing link on the Canadore website, and we strongly encourage all students to review them prior to starting their housing search. Some of the tips to avoid housing scams include avoiding cash transactions when securing a place to live, exercising caution when encountering aggressive sales tactics from landlords, and protecting your confidential information. But like I mentioned, we strongly recommend all students review the entire list and the supporting information on the Canadore website.
Fantastic. And again, they can always reach out to the housing support email, like you mentioned. Okay, last up, what happens if I do not have housing secured, but I still want to register for my classes? What would we say in that?
That's fine. As of last semester, there is an attestation online when you go to register for classes. So the attestation is for you to confirm that you have secured housing. If you have not secured housing, you won't be able to register for classes. Part of being ready to attend classes includes having a place to live.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Topanga. Those were great answers.
You're welcome.
All right. Now we want to take a moment to acknowledge all the questions that were submitted on the registration form. We were able to answer most of the questions that were submitted. We did have some questions that were unrelated to today's topic on housing. So if you are looking for some additional information about medical insurance or registering for classes, make sure you register to for one of our upcoming orientation virtual sessions that will cover these topics. So these are not covered specifically today, but will be covered in our future sessions.